Shalom, everybody. I am Bear. You know that because you're here. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome. We are in John 4 this morning, the Gospel of John Yochanan. If you've ever wondered how to pronounce Hebrew words, step 1 is get a sinus infection. Step 2 is just that helps a lot. So, Yochanan, page 1024 in the scriptures. We have playlists, Old Testament and New Testament, starting at Genesis 1, in the beginning, Elohim, and Matthew 1, this is the genealogy of Yeshua Messiah, and moving forward from there. So, we have now found ourselves in John chapter 4. Chapter 4. So when the master knew that the Pharisees had heard that Yeshua had made and immersed more taught ones than Yochanan, so Yeshua baptized more people than John the Baptist, although Yeshua himself did not immerse but his taught ones, he left Yehuda, and went away to Galilee. And he had to pass through Shomaron, Samaria, Samaritan. We're getting into the story of the woman at the well. And so in the scriptures, this translation, Samaria and Samaritan is like Shomaron and Shomaronim, or something to that effect. So he had to pass through Shomaron. And he came to the city of Shomaron, and called Shechem, near a piece of land Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Jacob and Joseph. Jacob, like the Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, that guy, back in the day. Okay. And Jacob's fountain was there. Jacob's fountain was there. So Yeshua, Jesus the Christ, being wearied from the journey, was sitting thus at the fountain. It was about the 6th hour. Again, we see some humanity in Yeshua here, being wearied from the journey. Like, yeah, he was fully God. He was also fully man. And this was necessary, I think, for us to have a relationship with Messiah so that we could restore our relationship to the Father. Like, it allows us to better understand Yeshua. And I don't know that the Father needed to better understand us because he fearfully and wonderfully created us in the first place, but it does create context on that pathway that leads us back to the Most High. And so Yeshua was weary, and it was about the 6th hour. And a woman of Shomaron came to draw water, a Samaritan woman. And Yeshua said to her, "Give me to drink." For his taught ones, his apostles, had gone off into the city to buy food. The woman of Shomaron therefore said to him, "How is it that you, being a Yehudi, being a Jew, ask a drink from me, a woman of Shomaron? For the Yehudim do not associate with the Shomaronim." So the Samaritans and the Jews did not associate with one another. This is why the parable of the Good Samaritan is so powerful. Because they were essentially enemies in the sense that they avoided each other. People would literally go around Shomaron when they were traveling. The Yehudim, the Jews, the Yehudi, would rather go around and avoid those people than go through and deal with them, and vice versa. Now, interestingly, these Samaritans believed in Yahuwah. They believed in the Father. There's a lot of backstory there. And in fact, we've covered it in the parable of the Good Samaritan. But what makes the Good Samaritan a powerful parable is that people that shouldn't have anything to do with one another. This Samaritan, when he sees this Jew laying on the side of the road, the priest walks by, the Levite walks by, and they both ignore this Jew lying on the side of the road. But this Samaritan is like, "Hey, I'll help this guy." Takes money out of his own pocket to help this guy. Right? And so that's the instruction that Yeshua was giving, is that it doesn't matter if that's your sworn enemy or if y'all don't get along. You see him lying in the ditch, you help him. Right? Love your neighbor as yourself. Be selfless towards your neighbor. So this woman from Samaria, therefore said to him, how is it that you, being a Yehudi, being a Jew, ask a drink from me, a woman of Shomaron? For the Yehudim do not associate with the Sharamanamiyam, I think is how you pronounce that. Yeshua answered and said to her, if you knew the gift of Elohim, and who it is who says to you, give me to drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. If you knew who you were talking to, you'd be asking me for the living water. The woman said to him, Master, you have no vessel, and the well is deep. From where then do you have this living water? She's like, son, you don't even have a water bottle. How are you going to give me some water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us this well and drank from it himself and his sons and his cattle? Yeshua answered and said to her, everyone drinking of this water shall thirst again, but whoever drinks of the water I give him shall certainly never thirst, and the water that I give him shall become in him a fountain of water springing up into everlasting life. We've all heard the standard Christian teachings on this. You thirst for a day. When you have physical water, you're good for life when you have spiritual water. The woman said to him, Master, give me this water so that I do not thirst nor come here to draw. And she's like, oh, cool. You give me this water, then I won't have to come to this well anymore. Yeshua said, go, call your husband and come here. So she was kind of being facetious. She's like, oh, you got eternal water? Awesome. Well, then eternally I won't have to come here and draw any more water. Good morning, honey. Kind of being facetious. And Yeshua said, good, go call your husband and come here. And the woman answered and said, I have no husband. Yeshua said to her, you have said well, I have no husband, for you have had 5 husbands, and the one whom you have now is not your husband. What you have said is true. So Yeshua is dropping dimes on her. The woman said to him, Master, I see that you are a prophet. You know what you're talking about. Our fathers worshipped on this mountain, but you people say in Yerushalayim is the place where one needs to worship. And Yeshua said to her, woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you shall neither on this mountain nor in Yerushalayim and Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, because the deliverance is of the Yehudim. But the hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and truth. For the Father also does seek such to worship him. The Father seeks those who worship him in spirit and truth. Now here's the thing, awesome or often glanced over, is you worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, because the deliverance is of the Yehudim, of the Jews. Yeshua makes it quite clear that he knows, because deliverance is of the Yehudim. Guess what he's saying? He's like, bro, I'm a Yehudim. I'm a Jew. I'm of the tribe of Judah, the Yehudim. This is missed all the time. And just to be clear, Judaism is filled with as many or more false teachings and traps of doctrine and dogma as Christianity is. Judaism is a man-made religion that has adulterated the Father's perfect law, just like Christianity is a man-made religion that has adulterated the Father's perfect law and the teachings of Messiah himself. Fighting words? Probably. Don't care. All of that's biblically supported. And so, yet again, we believe in a fullness of the Bible. We believe in the entire Bible. We believe that by grace through faith we are saved by Yeshua Messiah. But literally, his name means salvation. It means God is with us. Emmanuel, right? That's what God is with us. And Yeshua means salvation, right? So when we say we have salvation, we do. We have Yeshua. We have Messiah. But he was a Jew. He was a Yehudim. He was of the tribe of Judah. And guys, the Last Supper was a Passover feast. When the Holy Spirit descends, it was the festival of Shavuot, right? They talk about all the time. On several occasions in the Gospels, Yeshua is going to Passover year after year. The festival of Matzah in Jerusalem. He did these things. We do these things. Why? Because to be a Christian means to, Christios was a derogatory comment that was used to insult the followers of Christ. So if you are a follower of Christ, if you're trying to be Christ-like, then you should do Christ-like things. You should do what Yeshua did to the best of your ability. And again, not done away with, not nailed to the cross. That's a bad interpretation of Corinthians 2:14. So, but I digress. So Yeshua's like, yo man, deliverance comes from the Yehudim. This is really important to understand because, again, as I stated repeatedly over and over at this channel, either Yeshua is Messiah, and if Yeshua is Messiah, he is the Messiah that has been prophesied by the Yehudim, and we're going to look at Isaiah here in a minute. And if he is, then he restores our relationship to the Most High by restoring the Father's law. Or the law was done away with, in which case, if the law was done away with, Yeshua is not the Messiah, because according to a whole bunch of prophecy in here and instruction and teaching in here, anybody who speaks a mistruth in the name of Yahuwah is not a prophet and they deserve to be killed. Pick one. So either the law was done away with, but Yeshua is not Messiah, or Yeshua is Messiah and the law is what restores us to the Father, because those two things are completely biblical. Regardless of what teaching or instruction you may have received at some other point in your life, those are the two options here. Either, again, Yeshua is Messiah and he restores us to the Father by restoring the law, as prophesied repeatedly over and over and over in this book, or the law has been done away with because of what Yeshua did on the cross, in which case he is not the Messiah that was prophesied throughout the Old Testament. If that's the case, then if the law was done away with, he could not be the prophesied Messiah, the Redeemer of Israel. So, Isaiah 2, verse 3. Flip over to Yeshayahu, Isaiah. Good morning, honey. Why you be yawning, yo? You act like it early. Early, yo? Isaiah 2, 3. And many people shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah. Remember the mountain that the Samaritan woman was just talking about? To the house of Elohim of Jacob, and let him teach us his ways, and let us walk in his paths. For out of Zion comes forth the Torah, and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem, Yerushalayim. And he shall judge between the nations, and shall reprove many peoples. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither teach battle or any more. O house of Jacob, come and let us walk in the light of Yahuwah. And many people shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, the house of Elohim of Jacob, and let him teach us his ways and walk in his paths. For out of Zion comes forth the Torah and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. Who's the word? John, right? We're reading John right now. John 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word is Yeshua. Isaiah is prophesying about Yeshua right here. Okay. For out of Zion comes forth the Torah and the word of Yahuwah. Boom. The Torah and the word of Yahuwah. So which one was it? He died on the cross. We don't got to do the law anymore. Or he's Messiah and he restores us via the Torah, via the word. And so we flip back to John. There's one other verse in Isaiah I want to look at, which is Isaiah 56, 6. Which is right here. Isaiah 56, 6, page 458. And the sons of the foreigner who join themselves to Yahuwah, to serve him and to love the name of Yahuwah and to be his servants, all who guard the Sabbath and not profane it are holding on to my covenant. And then I shall bring to my set-apart mountain and let them rejoice in my house of prayer. Their sending offerings and their slaughtering offerings are accepted on my slaughter place, for my house is called a house of prayer for all the peoples. The Master Yahuwah, who gathers the outcasts of Israel, declares, I gather still others to him besides those who are gathered to him. The house of Israel and the Gentiles. Also the sons of the foreigner who join themselves, the sons of the foreigner, like the Samaritans, who join themselves to Yahuwah, to serve him and to love the name of Yahuwah. This is Yeshua. And to be servants, all who guard the Sabbath and not profane it, and are holding on to my covenant. Them I shall bring to my set apart mountain. So which one is it? I'm just saying, which one is it? And I realize that that's, for many people, you may have just had a small or even a large aneurysm. But Yeshua could not be the prophesied Messiah and do away with the law. And we'll just go to 2 Peter 2, verse 21, which is becoming one of my go-to verses. In fact, it is on my, it is on our Grindstone bookmarks. You see 1 Peter 2:21 right there, right near the top, right after Exodus 15:3, 1 Peter 2:21. For this you were called, because Messiah also suffered for us, leaving us an example that you should follow in his steps, who committed no sin. Sin is lawlessness. 1 John 3:4, sin is lawlessness. So he committed no lawlessness, nor was deceit found in his mouth. Nor was deceit found in his mouth. You know where that comes from? Isaiah 53, verse 9. Well, maybe we need to flip back to Isaiah 53, verse 9, just for a hot minute. T, you're all over the place. I know, this is why we have bookmarks, bro. Isaiah 53, verse 9. And he was appointed a burial site with the wrong, and with the rich at his death, because he had done no violence, nor was deceit found in his mouth. This is all about Yeshua, by the way. We'll just read Isaiah 53. Who has believed our report, and to whom was the arm of Yahuwah revealed? For he grew up before him as a tender plant and as a root out of dry ground. He has no form or splendor that we should look upon him, nor appearance that we should desire him. Make no engraven images, like hang on the walls in churches everywhere. Despised and rejected by men, a man of pains and knowing sickness, and as one from whom the face is hidden, being despised, and we did not consider him. Truly he has borne our sicknesses and carried our pains. Yet we reckoned him smitten, stricken by Elohim, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our crookedness. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. We all, like sheep, went astray. Each one of us has turned to his own way, and Yahuwah has laid on him the crookedness, the lawlessness of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, but he did not open his mouth. He was led as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearer is silent, he did not open his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And as for his generation, who considered that he shall be cut off from the land of the living, for the transgression of my people he was stricken. And he was appointed a burial site with the wrong, and with the rich at his death, because he had done no violence, nor was deceit in his mouth. Nor was deceit in his mouth. He could not have said a single thing that transgressed anything that had already been taught and prophesied to this point. I.e., the law was not done away with. It could not have been done away with. If it had been done away with by Yeshua, then he would have transgressed all of this, everything that came before. Which is why Yeshua says in Matthew 5:17, I come not to destroy the Torah or the prophets, but to complete it, to embody it, to completely be it, plera'u. But Yahuwah was pleased to crush him. He laid sickness on him. And what else does he say? For truly, truly I say unto you, until heaven and earth passes away, not one jot, not one tittle of the Torah shall pass away till all be done. Matthew 5:18. The Torah ain't going anywhere till all be done. Heaven and earth pass away. Well, I've not been to heaven that I know of, but earth is still here, meaning this is all still in play. And Yeshua did not come to do away with it. He came to complete it, to show us how to walk it out, how to do it. But Yahuwah was pleased to crush him. He laid sicknesses on him. And when he made himself an offering for guilt, he would see a seed. He would prolong his days, and the pleasure of Yahuwah would prosper in his hand. He would see the result of the suffering of his life and be satisfied. Through his knowledge, my righteous servant makes many righteous. What is righteous? And he bears their crookedness. Through his knowledge, my righteous servant, Yeshua, makes many righteous, and he bears their crookedness. What's righteous? Luke 1, New Testament, the Gospels. Luke 1, verse 6, blamelessly walking in all the commands of Yahuwah. He would see the result of the suffering of his life and be satisfied. Through Yeshua's knowledge, my righteous servant makes many righteous, makes many blamelessly walk in the commands of Yahuwah, and he bears their crookedness. Therefore I give him a portion among the great, and he divides the spoils with the strong, because he poured out his being unto death, and he was counted with the transgressors, and he bore the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors. That is Messiah. So all the way back over here to John 4. Yeshua came to embody the Torah and the prophets, to complete it. Torah, prophets, resurrection. The Father works in threes. Torah, prophets, resurrection. Father, Son, Holy Ghost. We have the first testament, the second testament. I believe we will have the third testament at some point. If you look up Transfiguration, Mount of Transfiguration, who is there? But Moses and Elijah and Yeshua, the Torah, the prophets, the resurrection. Who's outside the tomb? There's two men outside the tomb when Yeshua is raised from the dead. I submit those two men who were in their spiritual bodies were Moses and Elijah. Torah, prophets, resurrection. It makes sense because we know they already ministered to Yeshua in their spiritual bodies. And so, anyway, getting back to John 4, verse 23. But the hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father does seek such to worship him. Elohim is spirit, and those who worship him need to worship in spirit and in truth. The woman said to him, I know that Messiah is coming, the one who is called Anointed. When that one comes, he shall announce to us all. Yeshua said to her, I who am speaking to you am he. I am the Messiah, he says. So Messiah is to announce what? The Anointed? Announce to us all. To worship Elohim in spirit and truth. A lot of people get hung up on Jesus worship. A lot of people get hung up on that. What does Messiah do? He is the mediator of the renewed covenant, Hebrews 8:6, the go-between between us and the Father. And he is to announce to us all that we are to worship Elohim in spirit and in truth. Worship Elohim. He points us back to the Father. Worship Elohim. I am deeply thankful to my Messiah. But Messiah's job is to restore us to Elohim. Yeshua himself says, call no one master but your master in heaven. Yahuwah, your Elohim. People miss that. We want to get caught up in Jesus worship, and we should be eternally thankful for what he did for us, because we are not worthy. By grace through faith, we are saved, absolutely. But the whole point of Messiah is to point us back to the Father. Yeshua said to her, I who am speaking to you am he. And upon this, his apostles, his taught ones, came, and they were marveling that he was speaking with a woman. However, no one said to him, what do you seek, or why do you speak with her? The woman then left her water jug and went away to the city and said to the men, come, see a man who told me all that I have done. Is this not the Messiah? And they went out to the city, and they were coming to him. These are the Samaritans. But in the meantime, his taught ones were asking him, saying, Rabbi, eat. And he said to them, I have food to eat of which you do not know. Then the taught ones said to each other, did anyone bring him food to eat? They're like, what's he eating, bro? Yeshua said to them, my food is to do with the desire of him who sent me and to accomplish his work. Do you not say, there are still 4 months and the harvest comes? See, I say to you, lift up your eyes and see, the fields are ready, for they are white as harvest already. And he who is reaping receives reward and gathers fruit for everlasting life, so that both he who is sowing and he who is reaping rejoice together. For in this the word is true, one sows and another reaps. I sent you to reap that for which you have not labored. Others have labored, and you have entered into their labors. This is Yeshua speaking to the Samaritans. And many of the Samaritans of that city believed in him because of the word of the woman who witnessed. She who said, he who told me all that I have done. And so this woman bore witness to these people, and the Samaritan people. They come out, and Yeshua says to them, look, you're going to reap what others have sown, meaning the Yehudim. Y'all are going to be grafted into this. Grafted into what? Belief that Messiah is the anointed of Yah, which then points back to worshiping the Father in spirit and truth, which is what Yeshua was railing against the Pharisees, Sadducees, scribes, and high priests for. You hypocrites, they don't worship the Father in spirit and truth. They were interested in their doctrines and dogmas of men, not what did Yah say? What did Yeshua say? What does the Torah say? Nuh-uh. They had their own rules. They had their own twistings on the right rulings of this Torah. They were not in spirit and truth. Therefore, when the Samaritans came to him, they were asking him to stay with them, and he stayed there 2 days. And many more believed because of his word. And they said to the woman, we no longer believe because of what you said, for we ourselves have heard, and we know that this is truly the Messiah, the Savior of the world. And after the 2 days, he left there and went to Galilee. For Yeshua himself witnessed that a prophet is without appreciation in his own country. Therefore, when he came to Galilee, the Galileans received him, having seen all that he had done in Jerusalem at the festival. The festival of what? Do we remember what the festival was? The festival. All this has taken place in a short period of time, BT dubs. The festival of Passover, I believe. Festival of Matzah that comes after Passover. The Pesach, yep. John 2 verse 13. And the Pesach of the Yehudim was near, and Yeshua went up to Jerusalem. Pesach, the Passover, unleavened bread, and then first fruits. Therefore, when he came to Galilee, the Galileans received him, having seen all that he had done in Jerusalem at the festival, for they also went to the festival. Then Yeshua came again to Cana of Galilee, where he had made the water wine. There was a certain nobleman whose son was sick at Kephar Nahum. When he had heard that Yeshua had come from Judah into Galilee, he went to him, and asking him to come down and heal his son, for he was about to die. Yeshua then said to him, if you people do not see signs and wonders, you do not believe at all. He's like, man, I'm always got to prove myself to y'all. The nobleman said to him, Master, come down before my child dies. Yeshua said to him, go, your son lives. And the man believed the word that Yeshua spoke to him and went. And while he was going down, his servants met him and reported, saying, "Your son lives." He then asked from them the hour in which he became better. And they said to him, "Yesterday at the 7th hour the inflammation left him." Then the father knew that it was at the same hour in which Yeshua said to him, "Your son lives." And he himself believed, and all his household. Again, this was the second sign Yeshua did when he had come from Judah into Galilee. And that is the end of John chapter 4. What does Messiah do? Messiah is the mediator of the renewed covenant between the Father and his people. He's the go-between. What is that covenant? Seen it over and over again, but if you're new here or you need a reminder, as I often do, literally Hebrews 8:10, chapter 8, verse 10. "Because this is the covenant that I shall make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yahweh, giving my laws in their mind, and I shall write them on their hearts, and I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people." That's the renewed covenant. Yeshua came to be the mediator between us and the Father, to write the Father's laws in our mind and on our hearts, so that he will be our Elohim and we will be his people, and we will worship him in spirit and in truth. That's what Yeshua does. And we should be eternally thankful for that, because we are redeemed by his atoning sacrifice, and we are called to walk in his footsteps back to the Most High. Praise Yah. Shalom, y'all.